Welcome to Briggs Road, Football Queensland Premier League match-up between Western Pride and Mitchelton, the first ever competitive meeting between these two sides in round 2 of this campaign. Western Pride, of course, only a couple of seasons ago were reigning champions of the National Premier League's Queensland. It has been a fairly rapid descent for the team from Ipswich, whereas Mitchelton, well, very narrowly, and very narrowly it is at that, missed out on getting into the playoffs last year in the Football Queensland Premier League, losing in the final day of the season. Both teams will be looking to get their campaigns off to a good start here. Mitchelton, it's their first game of the season. They had the bye last week. Western Pride, they picked up a win last week up on the Sunshine Coast, 2-1. 2 goals for Yuta Hirayama, who is absent today through injury, so we'll run you quickly through the team. In goal for Western Pride is Tom Lynch, wearing the number 20 shirt, and then in front of him is number 4, Aidan Norris, number 5, Reese Webster, number 7, Adam Sawyer, who's captain today, number 8, Neelan Brown, number 9, Jacob Advaney, number 10, Will Orford, number 12, Matt Haspels, number 16, Ru Honezawa, number 17, Jackson Bray, number 19, Nathan Yoon. The substitute for Western Pride, Tom Reynolds, who was sensational in the under-20s. We'll talk about that in a little while. Number 2, Connor Maynard. Number 3, Ben Piper. Number 11, Daryl Barton. Number 14, Ryan Ricciani. Mitchelton will line up as follows. In goal, number 1, Tom Sullivan. Number 3, Reese Raymond. Number 6, Byron Sinnerton. Number 8, the captain, Kai Barnes. Number 9, Mustafa Jafari. Number 10, Dong Yu Kim. Number 12, Noah Humphreys. Number 16, Diane Baker. Number 18, Sam Standish. Number 19, Paul Falso. Number 20, Jacob Mengotti. Ipswich-based Western Pride will be in the green and white stripes. The visitors, whose traditional colour is also green, albeit with yellow as opposed to white, they will be in the red and black stripes. Unfortunately for the colour impaired, the stripes are horizontal and vertical respectively. I will return to Briggs Road for Mustafa Jafari in the number 9 shirt for Mitchelton. Off-season recruit, one of several off-season recruits for both these teams, almost unrecognisable from the previous campaign. That's what makes this Football Queensland Premier League such a hard competition just to call and see how the teams are going to set up this season and how they're going to end up. Western Pride have Reese Webster and Adam Sawyer coming into the side from Lions, Nathan Yoon from Capella Bar, Matt Haspels from Magpies Crusaders, Will Orford coming up from Victoria from South Melbourne, Alex Sargent from Penn Power as well, Roy Yonezawa on the Hobart Zebras. Mitchelton have got a whole host of players as well who've come into the side. So many from Brisbane City: Seb Cage, Aidan Nightingale, Jake Clancy and Reese Raymond, joining previous City alumni such as Kai Barnes, Alex Sartori, Paul Falso, Luke Leggett. So there's a few knocking around in that Mitchelton side. There is no Jaden Nightingale or Jake Clancy in the side though today. Jaden Nightingale has an injury. He'll be out for the next couple of weeks with that. And Jake Clancy is currently winging his way back from Europe, which leaves Tom Sullivan in goal. Tom Sullivan, a former Pride player. In fact, from that 2017 championship winning year, he was actually replaced in goal by Max Davidson early in the season. Max Davidson being the championship winning keeper. So just for 2 players crossing over, the other being the 24-year-old Afghani Mustafa Jafari, who has the ball in his grasp now. The referee appears to be satisfied, and it'll be Mitchelton, the visitors, in the red and black stripes, kicking things off from left to right as we see things, and that is the captain Kai Barnes, who launches the ball forward. It was quite easily cut out by Rui Yonezawa. Rui Yonezawa coming back up to Queensland after winning the Best and Fairest and Players Player of the Year award down in Hobart. Played 25 times, cautioned just 3 times in all competitions. Comes back to the state where he played for Surfers Paradise in the Gold Coast Premier League, as well as being a Gold Coast City junior. Western Pride in the green and white horizontal stripes, and that's good tenacity being shown there by Orford from South Melbourne, the recruit. It's spun awkwardly and it's a sprawling dive by Sullivan. Looking resplendent in pink. In the goal away to our left. There was a slight delay from the under-20s match that started late. It was a real cracker of a game as well. So that ball goes long, defended well. He's allowed to bounce by Aidan Norris, and Norris ends up on his backside by way of Diane Baker, the former Olympian. Lots of players of that age, around 19, 20, just coming down into the Football Queensland Premier League in search of regular first team action. So the ball goes over the top towards Nathan Yoon, who's stayed in the Football Queensland Premier League from Capalaba. Scored 6 goals in 17 games. With good service, we know what a good ball striker he can be. He scored 10 goals in a season for the Brisbane Roar Youth from 21 games. As Falso gets forward here, and it's a good-looking cross cut out by Reece Webster. Paul Falso, second year at Mitchelton. He's such a dangerous player going forward. And he'll be wanting to use that attacking prowess early on, and he'll making uses of himself with his giant frame in the middle at the moment, as Mitchelton has its first corner of the day. It's aimed towards Falso and almost landed at Falso's feet. The follow-up shot was from Mengotti, another player of a Brisbane City link, although he himself never played for the Azzurri. Mitchelton's near neighbours. May know the name though, Frank Mengotti of NSL fame. That's his son. He takes the corner now, in swinging. Oh, it's a devilish one to deal with. And it was Falso again who got the final touch before it was gratefully received by Tom Lynch. Couple of early warnings from Mitchelton, the Mustangs. Falso wins it back again after playing Diane Baker into a spot of bother. Yoon. Forward by Yonezawa. It's a player in a red shirt, not green. A well cut out there. Yonezawa just reading the play and nipping in to make the intercept, but he was frustrated with himself for not being able to find a teammate. Forward by Standish. Now being picked off by Bray. Bray was under all sorts of pressure, unable to do anything with it. Here's Kim, latterly of Brisbane strikers. It's well left on that occasion by Baker. The ball had a little bit too much pace on what is an immaculate surface out here at Briggs Road. Noah Humphreys unable to get onto the end of it. Those two should have a bit of a connection. Humphreys and Baker, both formerly of Olympic, both played 6 games last year. Throw in so good, it's almost a corner. It was headed away or half headed away by Sawyer. It took a couple of deflections, and now an opportunity for Jackson Bray. Well, it's picked off there at the back by Reece Raymond. It's good to see him back out on the field after suffering an awful knee injury at the start of last season that ended his season before it had even began. It was in the first half of a pre-season friendly. Kim does a nice little touch back to Barnes. Barnes goes wide to Humphreys. Humphreys has a bit of space. Here's Kim now. Mustafi Jafari was there. Cross a little bit too close to Tom Lynch. On paper, Mitchelton look a very strong team this season. Interesting to see if that can be converted into on-field attainment. Falso will take the throw. It's headed back inside. Jafari is capable of the spectacular. He comes back inside. Got another shot, and it was a fiercely driven effort. Lynch could only parry, and now that's in the top corner. What a goal! Kai Barnes! That's a sensational strike from the Mitchelton captain. It came from Mustafa Jafari's fierce shot, but could only be parried by Lynch. It moved and swerved in the air and hit Lynch low on the wrist. Fell kindly for Kai Barnes, and that is an absolutely fantastic strike. Mitchelton lead. And the locals are getting restless. It's the first home game of the season for Western Pride. They do have such spectacular support as Adam Sawyer plays the ball forward, but it's picked off by Kim. Now Barnes again. Barnes trying to put the cross in, turning provider. Neelan Brown gets his body in the way. It's Barnes again at the back post. Was Mengotti, his shot blocked. Now an opportunity perhaps as Advani continues his run. The pass forward is far too close to Tom Sullivan though. Well, Falso made a mess out of that. Possibly not the place to do it, right in front of your bench, and Dan Panisi. Pass back inside by Brown, wasn't a good one, picked off by Jafari. Jafari's ball forward to Dong-Yu Kim. Kim's forced wide. Jafari attempted the spectacular, managed to miss absolutely everything. He'll be desperate to score against his old side. He scored 6 times in 13 matches last year for Pride. Prior to that, he had 12 games without a goal for Moreton Bay United. Here's Falso. Falso cuts back inside. It's opened up for Falso. Jafari was sliding in, and it's all red and black at the moment. Enormous kick upfield. A little bit of a mix-up at the back there between Raymond and Sullivan. Might have wanted a stronger call from one of those two men, but as you can see, Tom Sullivan just raising his hand to his face then, the sun just blinding him somewhat. Western Pride continue play. Reese Webster going all the way back to Tom Lynch, and Lynch playing the ball out wide to Haspels. Haspels trying to get something going over on the right-hand side. Falling on the ball is not going to be the best way to do that. Kai Barnes can't capitalise. Haspels breathes a sigh of relief. Here's Neelan Brown. Lynch will reset, and he'll send a booming kick forward towards halfway. Lovely touch there from Yonezawa. Yonezawa's pass inside doesn't find Orford, but Orford makes a little bit of a nuisance of himself against Sinnerton. It's still Mitchelton ball though. Here's Kim down the left. Kim, oh, it's parried up. Mengotti's arriving back post. It's headed clear though by Norris. Frantic stuff from Western Pride at the moment. And coming back is Advani to help with the defence. Advani's continued to run, ball inside, picked off by Falso. It's opened up for Falso. Falso against 3 Western Pride defenders at the moment. Ball goes out for a goal kick. It's blustery conditions here in Ipswich. Wind really coming across right into the view of your camera as things stand at the moment. You can see by the flags being waved by those supporters behind the goal in the pit. One of the best supporter groups in the state, you have to say. Ball's coming our way. Aidan Norris couldn't get a head onto it as Lynch rather shanks it. And Falso will take his time, as is his wont. Two Mitchelton players almost getting in top of each other. Jafari plays it forward. Dong Yu Kim is chasing. And Roy Yonezawa had to be alert then. Unfortunately for Western Pride, he was. He's picked up the ball now over on the right. Cuts back inside. And now a lovely crossfield ball. Falso does well to defend, but Advani still has it. Advani tries to skip past a couple and he wins a free kick. Right on the edge of the penalty area. Not an ideal position to shoot in, but for the left footer it might be worth a cross. It was taken quickly by Neelan Brown and rather wasted. Barnes goes long. It's going to stay in on this near side just about. Norris back inside to Webster. Webster crossfield to Yonezawa. Yonezawa can't get that ball clear and slides. Does well against Dong Yu Kim. Oh, ball forward now. Here's an opportunity for Western Pride perhaps. Oh, a shot towards the near post by Nathan Yoon. It was ambitious. You can't fault that. And probably the only option he had. Advani was arriving but late. Jackson Bray was herring to get in as well, former Rochdale player, although a player who has been through the youth setup here at Western Pride. So many of these players have been through the youth setup, and it really does feel like a reset here for Western Pride. They had a disappointing season, to put it mildly, last year. After consecutive third places in the National Premier League Queensland, they dropped 10 of those spots to 13th and the final relegation spot. 3 teams went down, remember. Baker just got caught on the ball and then wins a free kick. Advani throws his arms out a little, but just caught his opponent, you have to say. Standish goes across to Sillerton. Reece Raymond shimmying and goes all the way back across to Standish. Played 25 games with Sunshine Coast last year, did Sam Standish. In 2018, apologies, played 14 games for Mitchelton in 2019. Here he is on the ball again. Scored 2 goals for Sunshine Coast 2 years ago. Falso will take the throw on this near side. Look to go back, instead puts it into a more dangerous area. Mustafi wants for chip on, or the flick on, sorry. Still there for Mengotti. Ambitious from Barnes. Stayed in. Aidan Norris is the one who has to go back and track. All the way back to Sullivan. Western Pride 0, Mitchelton 1. Simon Smell with you on the call for Football Queensland here in the Football Queensland Premier League. Round 2 clash. First game of the season for Mitchelton. It started well. Was there a hand there by Jafari? It was incidental. Western Pride have the ball anyway as Sawyer just skips past the challenge, shows his displeasure at being caught. Western Pride will continue. That's a really nice ball over to that far side. Ball inside leaves a little to be desired though towards Nathan Yoon, I think, over on that far side. Standish, Mitchelton playing it out from the back. Falso, back to Standish, over the top now to Baker. Baker helps it on to Mustafi. Mustafa Jafari does really, really well there. And all the space and time in the world there for Humphreys. Humphreys plays the ball back inside to the new Kim. Kim and Jafari, was there a hand? That's what Western Pride are appealing for. Nothing doing, says the referee, and our line of sight was impeded. It's a lovely ball from Yoon. Going to have to chase his Advani, and the winds just took that away, I think. Clever idea, and Advani had so much space on this near side. Lovely interplay though, just prior to that at the other end. Kim, Jafari and Noah Humphreys. Lovely football. A little bit untidy in close quarters, but you can understand that. Paul Falso looking out for the welfare of the ball kids, who look to take each other out in trying to get to that ball. It's cut out before it got to Jafari. Mengotti with a solid shoulder there on Will Orford. Yoon wanted to chase, but it was cut off by Humphreys, who's working hard on that left-hand side for Mitchelton. 15 minutes gone here, and it's Western Pride 0, Mitchelton 1. Nice touch by Kim. Looked lively so far, the former striker. Did score against Pride last year. Baker was causing a little bit of consternation in the mind of Tom Lynch as he rolled that ball out, and now Lynch plays that ball out just the other side of halfway under pressure. Now it's good pressure from Mitchelton. They're pressuring all over the park. Brave from Sawyer. And Gotti had a big pull of the Will Orford shirt there. It's not seen by the referee. Orford and Mengotti share pleasantries, and they did actually look pleasant as opposed to it being a euphemism. Here's Mengotti now. It's well blocked by Yonezawa, and Yonezawa has space in front of him now. Lovely ball by Yonezawa into Orford. Orford twisting and turning, gets a shot away. It was quite weak and quite comfortable for Sullivan in the end. Yonezawa has looked mighty impressive going forwards for Western Pride. Picking out those passes, and Orford, ex-South Melbourne player, just getting himself into good positions. Lots of space for Bray. Bray cuts back inside and got his wires crossed in passing that ball back outside to Nathan Yoon after the former Capella Bar Bulldog had stopped his run. Mitchelton will clear. Standish back to Sullivan. Sullivan will go long to the left-hand side of the field as he sees it. Yonezawa acrobatically getting the ball away. Suddenly has space on the near side. Don't want to give Yonezawa too much space, although that time his pass wasn't the best. Mengotti cut off by Neelan Brown, who has equalled the third most capped league player for Western Pride. Today he's matched his former skipper Jesse Rigby's 84 appearances in the National Premier League's Queensland. The throw goes the way of Western Pride, despite Jacob Mengotti's enthusiastic appeal, let's put it that way. Norris, it's a solid tackle by Baker, and that's got his supporters excited. Oh, good battling there. Baker a little bit clumsy and then gives away the free kick. Bray got up with some intent, but in the time that it took for him to get to his feet, decided that he'd just get himself into the middle of the park. Aidan Norris is going to take the free kick for a 19-year-old. Swings it into the edge of the penalty area. Barnes was there defending on Sawyer. Helped back in by Webster. Mengotti goes to ground. Play on is for Cool. The run forward is by Baker. And Webster was back defending. Good advantage played by the referee. And Paul Falso is going to look to put this ball into the penalty area with the long throw. Big runoff area here at Briggs Road. That's floated in delightfully towards the head of Mustafa Jafari. And it is a goal kick, and there are some very frustrated Mitchelton players, Jafari amongst them. Diane Baker letting his feelings be known as well. Never known a referee change his mind in that situation. Touch by Norris, inside by Advani. Let it run a bit too far, and he knew it as well. A little bit frustrated with himself, or perhaps wanting an option to be given to him. There was none available. Don't know what that sound is in my headphones. Hopefully you can't hear it as well. Ball comes forward all the way to Tom Lynch. A mystery. Just dallying on the ball a little bit, Western Pride at the moment. Oh, slide, untidy looking challenge there from Haspels, former Magpie or Crusader, and then a free kick is given in the end, and the two players get up and front up. Mengotti is amongst them, and Mengotti's going to get a speaking to here by the referee, perhaps for something that he said, because it certainly looked like Haspels was the aggressor in terms of the on-field action. Now Haspels is going to get a talking to, and you'd expect that if Mengotti was being called aside, although a yellow card is being shown actually to Matt Haspels. Interesting. Both players fronted up, only one got a card. A good opportunity for Mitchelton to put the ball into a dangerous area again. They do have tall timber, Mengotti amongst them. Noah Humphreys isn't short either. Mustafa Jafari is not the tallest, but he can be a handful to deal with. Dion Baker as well, leaning with all his weight on his marker. The ball's going to come in by way of Barnes. It's Mustafa Jafari, and it's just the wrong side of the post from the Afghani as far as Mitchelton are concerned. He was probably the smallest player in the penalty area. He gets in such good positions and managed to get up high on that occasion. And Andrew Caxton looks to be pretty frustrated, it has to be said. There were hands there from Sinnerton, but not enough to be a free kick. Mengotti's given chase. Lynch had to be aware of that. Standish won the ball. They're winning every second ball and first ball on occasion on Mitchelton. Ball up wide. Falso wanted it. It was cut out instead by Baker. Baker put it over to the far side, and Dongyu Kim can't control, and all of a sudden up the other end it's Western Pride and Advani. Advani, there was a slide and a block by Standish. Oh, that looked uncomfortable. And Diane Baker could find himself in a spot of bother here. That's what Western Pride are talking about, and the supporters around us are talking about that as well. There's some pressure on the referee here. You'd have to say that if Haspels was booked, that looked a little bit less tidy. He's saying his boot wasn't up. There is no card being shown. Midway through the first half, it's still Western Pride 0, Mitchelton 1. Sawyer standing over it, the former Lion. Oh, it's an awkward one off the head of Sinnerton, but well claimed by Sullivan. And Sullivan distributes quickly out wide to Humphreys. Jafari's made a run. It was watched by Haspels. In the end, it's Tom Lynch who gets there. Good ball towards Yoon. Yoon's going to come inside on Reece Raymond. Reece Raymond does well. It's the first corner of the afternoon for Western Pride. And not the tallest team, Western Pride. But Neelan Brown has stepped up, as has Reese Webster. Brown's made a run near post. Webster's gone back post. It's fallen instead for Bray, and it's a good save by Sullivan. Through a forest of bodies. Put some welly behind that with those fluorescent boots to Jackson Bray. Not much movement for the throw. Good throw though, just held up. Advaney still there, still challenging Advaney. Shot came in from Orford, but it was blocked at source. Neelan Brown just pokes it in. Now he's going again round wide. He's being shadowed by Sinnerton pretty closely. And now he's gone into a bit of a blind alley, but Neelan Brown does well. He wins a throw in for his side. Good movement by Advaney this time. And another throw in, but Western Pride are moving further and further away, opening up the angle, you could say kindly. Neelan Brown gets the touch. He's been closed down quickly with a solid challenge from Baker, but he rode it well, did Neelan Brown. Brown gets the ball back from Jackson Bray. Now it's at the feet of Norris, and Norris can't get the ball past the sizable frame of Paul Falso. Interesting player, Paul Falso. Broke into the Brisbane City side in 2018. And he was in and out of the team. Got sent off in the first game against Lions, but went back to the 20s, worked hard. His performances made him pickable in a defence that was a bit shaky from City that season. Did well to get back into the side, then he dropped out the side again. He had a couple of different spells there. Really hard worker. Bray just ran out of real estate. He's been closed down by a good solid shell of red and black shirts. Falso wants someone to come closer. Mengotti was that person. It's flicked on brilliantly by Jafari, and now Dong-Yu Kim has pace, shadowed by Haspels. Haspels does really well. It is a corner. Mitchelton's third. Well, so many of their throw-ins in that penalty area region have been as good as corners. Such has been their accuracy and the way they've been floated in. And keep our eyes on Mustafa Jafari in this situation. He's come close a couple of times. He's standing right on the feet of Tom Lynch. It goes short to Barnes. Humphreys would rather have that one back again, I think, as Yoon goes upfield. Mengotti cut him off. Good work from the bearded midfielder. Oh, it could have been awkward. Mengotti won it and wins a free kick. Neelan Brown judged to have been the aggressor in that situation. Perhaps he was adjudged to have been out of control by the referee. It did look like they both slid in. Kai Barnes will take the free kick. The debate continues to our right as to the legitimacy of that free kick. Barnes curls this past the one-man wall. Not past the first defender in that mass of bodies on the edge of the penalty area. Was there a hand there on Dong-Yu Kim? There was. Probably for the best, because there was only one Western Pride player up there, and it didn't look like that ball was going too close to where Nathan Yoon was. Yonezawa was put under pressure then, but the ball still managed to find its way all the way through to Reece Raymond, who goes back to his keeper Sullivan. Now Raymond has space on the left-hand side. Has options in the middle and uses them, but that's an awkward one. And it was almost picked off by Advani, who saw it coming a mile off and was only an inch away in the end. Good work from Falso. Mengotti in towards Dongyu Kim. Keeper has to come, and he has to get it. And Tom Lynch did very, very well. That was a lovely pass inside. Dongyu Kim has been flirting on the edge of that offside line all evening. Lovely football from Mitchelton. They're carving Western Pride up at the moment. Falso wants that ball that they were using, not the one at his feet, so he'll throw it in now towards Jafari. Jafari gets the flick on, but it wasn't anticipated by Dongyu Kim, who in fact went the other way and decided that he wasn't going to get there at all. The kick is shanked by Lynch, and Kai Barnes has the ball at his feet now on the left-hand side. He puts a cross in. It'll be another corner for Mitchelton. Their fourth corner of the day. They lead Western Pride by a goal to nil in the 32nd minute of this game. Simon Smale with you at Briggs Road for this Football Queensland Premier League Round 2 clash. Western Pride won last week. Mitchelton did not have a game. They had the bye in this 11-team comp. Oh, Brown didn't get the head onto it. Barnes wanted to have a shout at it. It's fallen to Yoon. Yoon squared up by Dongyu Kim. Gets the ball inside. Here's an opportunity now, perhaps. Norris played it first. Was there a deflection? We're being peppered up here in our commentary position. One will hit us soon. Falso's going to want that ball back, I think. Instead, this time he decides the spare will be okay. Uses the long levers to get that ball forward towards Jafari. This time Dongyu Kim did anticipate the flick, although Jafari didn't quite get enough on it. Went in the right areas though. It's hammered forward. It's good defending by Humphreys, just got ahead of Nathan Yoon. Now Advani making a nuisance of himself, but Reece Raymond hammers it clear, only as far as Baker, who takes it down well. And now Falso forward towards Jafari. Jafari's not going to win the foot race against Tom Lynch, who had spotted that ball forward and was quick to get off his line. And he needed to be, really. Webster goes back to Lynch, and Lynch's clearances have not been the best today. The wind undoubtedly having an effect. It's just that Sullivan hasn't had to clear anything yet. Perhaps both keepers would be having trouble with their clearing kicks. Well, Falso's going to capitalise here. It's just a bulldozer sometimes, Falso, and that ball's flown a good field length away. Not too many ball kids over in the next paddock. Western Pride have the throw. Did look like Standish was using his arms a little bit on Jacob Advani there. Advani pinballing himself around for Mitchelton defence. Sinnerton, who goes back to Sullivan now. The wind is really picking up all of a sudden out here in the west. Heavy touch from Baker, and it's just nipped in there by Aidan Norris. Inside by Sawyer. Yoon just flashes that one over the crossbar. He had options inside, but his eyes lit up when he saw the goal beckoning. Got to challenge the keeper in that situation. Mitchelton persist with playing short. It's worked out for them so far, as Raymond can only find Yonezawa. Yonezawa putting himself in a spot of bother though. It's Kim and Jafari link up well, but it's just helped out. Thrown in quickly by Humphreys. And Dongyu Kim got collected by Adam Sawyer. was the second game of round 2 last night. Rochdale got their second win of the season with a 2-1 victory over Wolves. Tariq Hamad scored the opening goal in the second minute, but Greg Cheshire and Tim Jackson either side of half-time ensured that Rochdale got all the points. 2 goals already this season for Greg Cheshire. Barnes swings that ball in, helped by the wind, no doubt. Oh, it's crept in, has it? Lovely free kick from Barnes. And he's turned provider for the second, and Mitchelton do have 2. It was all a bit untidy. And I think it's Sam Standish who doesn't score many. But he's given his side a 2-goal cushion here at Briggs Road. Mitchelton lead Western Pride by 2-0. Straight up and down from Sawyer. Diane Baker did not take kindly to being grabbed there by Aidan Norris. They're not being given any time at all to settle Western Pride. Adam Sawyer playing that neat little ball over the top to Advaney, but if you take more than a second on the ball, this Mitchelton defence is going to swarm all over you. Shouldered away by Adam Sawyer. Ray does well to hold that ball up. Western Pride try to progress down this left-hand side. Advaney does well. Advaney does really well, but that swarm of red shirts just surrounded him and made it very, very difficult. Here's Dong-Yu Kim now picking up the loose clearance. He has Mengotti to his left. Also Jafari. Jafari's going to shoot, and it's an awkward one for Lynch. He did well. Lynch gets things going straight away. Mitchelton almost with the 1-2 sucker punch just before half-time. They switch play well over to the far side, and Roy Honezawa. Honezawa plays the ball into Yoon. Yoon might want to shoot first time. He wisely chooses not to, being fronted up by Reece Raymond. Cut back inside. It is a corner to Western Pride. Good defending on that occasion. Again from Mitchelton. They've managed to get bodies back when they've had to. What can Western Pride muster here? Good ball. It's fallen to the back post, and Bray didn't quite fall for him though. Oh, all of a sudden there's space for Yoon in the middle, but Mengotti gets his foot there. And Mitchelton escape somewhat. Bray. Back to Norris. Hammered upfield by Baker. Western Pride will have to build again. It's a clearing kick again from Lynch that goes out of play. Not been great so far from Western Pride. Took them a while to warm up last week. They in fact went behind and trailed at the break by a 1-0. Dan Bailey getting the first goal for Sunshine Coast, who finished rock bottom of the National Premier League's Queensland competition last season. Ryu Honezawa just makes decent progress down that right-hand side, the grandstand side of the field. Mengotti. Neelan Brown wanted a free kick. Mengotti, is that a shot? No, I don't think so. I think he wanted Diane Baker to make a run inside, or at least that's what he's saying. I don't think it's just to cover himself. And it's picked off again by Mengotti. Neat from Sawyer. Mengotti does well, but gets done by Norris, and Norris was under all sorts of pressure that time from Diane Baker, who concedes another foul. He's racking them up. The right-sided midfielder for Mitchelton. Perhaps fortunate to escape a booking earlier on in this half. Has just been the one so far. And it's gone the way of Matt Haspels. And a free kick goes the way of Western Pride over on the far side of the field. That time it was Advani who was impeded unfairly. 5 minutes to go before the half-time break. Good opportunity for Western Pride to get something from this half and get themselves back into the game. Two-man wall. Very good delivery. It's headed straight up in the air, and it's Mitchelton players getting in themselves at the moment. Dong-Yu Kim clears that ball pretty quickly and into the far paddock. Referee deems it accidental. And any chance of Western Pride had of getting the ball into the area quickly again was extinguished by that, and then Adam Sawyer rather gave the ball away himself, disappointingly. Western Pride 0, Mitchelton 2. Reece Raymond has some time and space over on that far side, but his pass forward was cut out by Yonezawa. Barnes wants to take the throw in. Helps it on its way. The wind still howling across. It's gone over the top and behind. Jafari with a first-time shot. And Lynch's dive made it look closer than it was, I think. Always going away from the goal. It was so easy there for Mitchelton, just the long throw from Barnes. It's a better clearance forward by Lynch. His radar hasn't been working quite at full operational capacity, and Reece Raymond gets fouled from behind by Jackson Bray, who pleads that he got the ball, but didn't look like he got much of the ball, it has to be said. Taken short by Sinnerton to Barnes. Barnes wants an option. The option is Humphreys on the left-hand side. Well, it's Dong-Yu Kim. Humphreys continued his run and has possession now, though he's being pestered by Advani. But Humphreys still comes away with it. And then off the clearance by Yonezawa, concedes a throw-in. Headed back inside. Mengotti picks up the loose ball. It's all Mitchelton in the midfield and picking up those loose possessions, and then Mengotti asks an awful lot of Paul Falso, who gamely just sprints back into position with nary a word of disquiet towards his teammate. Falso was in on Yoon there, another former Brisbane City player playing in this contest, and Raymond picks up the ball, almost acting as a sweeper there as Mitchelton go forward. Standish comes back in support. Now Sinnerton. Mitchelton playing themselves back into position. Well, flying through was Yonezawa, who looks to take it upon himself to spark something in this Western Pride side, but now he's out of position. It will look to be capitalised upon by Humphreys. Jackson Bray just getting in a bit of a muddle, and then that's a brilliant ball by Barnes, but there's nobody there to capitalise upon it. And that's half-time. On the button Western Pride have a lot of work to do in the second half. They trail Mitchelton by 2-0. Kai Barnes opening the scoring and Sam Standish getting the second after a bit of a scramble in the corner. Mitchelton will be happy with what they've been able to achieve so far. They in fact have looked very, very impressive. It's been all the visitors in fact in this first 45, but Western Pride came back from behind last week. They're going to have to do so again here in their first home game of the season. We'll have a short break, and after we come back, it'll be the second half of Western Pride against Mitchelton in the Football Queensland Premier League Round 2.
On the cross, a towering header.
The keeper's out, the net's open!
Some people can't hide their passion. Don't hide yours. Join our team.
When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you.
Happiness is knowing you'll find the perfect vehicle every time. Thrifty, smiles all the way.
Welcome back to Briggs Road, where Mitchelton lead Western Pride by 2-0. The first, a stunning strike from Kai Barnes. Certainly a goal of the week contender, so that'll be all across the Football Queensland social media at Football QLD on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and don't forget TikTok as well. Football Queensland's just got into that. It'll be well worth a look back early on as well in that game, and Western Pride, they had to come from behind last week. They're going to have to do so again here if they're to get anything from this contest. I've been very, very impressed by Mitchelton, though, as Western Pride get things going from left to right. A long kick-off from Adam Sawyer into the corner to try and squeeze Mitchelton as Reece Raymond just hammers his ball upfield. It's only on as far as the head of Yonezawa, though, who was impressive in the first half, both going forward and in defence. Last year's best and fairest and player of the year from the Hobart Zebras down in Tasmania. He's done well to win a throw in there against 2 Mitchelton defenders. That was a real feature of the way the match went, as Kai Barnes just absolutely levered the ball at one of the grandstands here and has actually dislodged the guttering in the way he hit that. It was a little bit of a trip there as well. He almost went down on that occasion too. Honezawa getting a foot involved, but Western Pride are keeping possession, and that's something that they just didn't do in the first half. A swarming defence, and Kai Barnes does brilliantly there, helped on by Jafari in towards the path of Kim. The shot, though, on that occasion came in by Diane Baker, and he was everywhere in the first half, and perhaps the fatigue was telling him a little bit in the opening stages of his first half, because that was not one of the better finishes that we've seen. Norris went down in a bit of a heap there. Won the throw-in for his side. Taken quickly inside towards Orford. Oh, that's really good work, getting past Diane Baker. Bit of a brighter start already from Western Pride, and they needed that. Yoon just ran away from him, and it's a swarming defence of Mitchelton in the red and black stripes that has been so impressive in this contest. Falso. Well, that was cut out well by Orford. Inside to Bray, and Bray on the turn tried to shoot, and it was a weak effort that went the wrong side of the post from a Western Pride perspective. It was a nice little cut back in by Adam Sawyer, who does need to get himself into the game a little bit more. It was a game, or a half rather, that rather passed for Western Pride, captained by, it has to be said, the first 45 minutes. Mitchelton get their first use of the ball in this second half. Falso can't get the ball past Sawyer, so has another go, does this time. Mengotti does well, hurdles Matt Haspels and gives away a free kick, and Mengotti, I think, has a right to feel aggrieved. Just looked like a strong challenge from the former Southside Eagle. Long ball onto the head of Advani. Looked like he knew that much about it. He's won the ball back, though. Back inside, opportunity here for Orford. Orford with a shot. He was taken out after he shot it, and it's actually gone behind for a corner kick. Sullivan scrambled across and just palmed it behind, and it's the third corner of the game for Western Pride. Sawyer swings it in, can't beat Reece Raymond at the near post, so he'll have another attempt. Bit better this time, bit deeper. Ray jumped. He's going to pick up the ball just on the edge of the pitch now. It's deflected on its way through. Oh, it was a poor leave. And Mengotti tries to hammer it clear, only as far as Bray in this corner again. Good work by Noah Humphreys. And they're going to escape Mitchelton here, although Barnes and Neelan Brown just got a little bit tangled there. Barnes letting go of Brown's shirt. quick enough just to not concede the free kick. And he'll take the throw in now in front of the Western Pride bench. Good long throw up to Jafari. Jafari with the flick. Dong Yu Kim wants this. Ball just trickles out. Matt Haspels was shepherding. Jafari chases. Brave from Webster it was. Tried again and was successful again, but the third time unlucky. But it's fallen for Western Pride here, and Advani gets to the byline, cuts the ball back. Bray was there. It's headed back inside by Brown, and Advani wasn't quite alert to that fact. It'll be a throw into Mitchelton now. Much better from Western Pride. Headed back in by Yonezawa. Advani's looks lively. Raymond can't keep it in. Yonezawa. Wanted the pass. Was picked off by Humphreys. Humphreys did well. Raymond got into a spot of bother there. Good chasing from Advani. It's cleared away. Jafari might have got to push in the back. Play's been allowed to continue. Here's Yoon. Yoon up against Reese Raymond. Yoon twisting, turning. Lovely cross in. Just over the head of Advani though. First time today, Mitchelton look under pressure. It's nice by Sawyer. Yoon again, and the flying figure of Advani just flew ahead of Tom Sullivan, but Sullivan held his nerve and launches the ball upfield. The wind really has died down. I'm sure you've noticed that with the lack of sound effects in the mic, where it's blustering every so often. Advani was offside. Lovely control over his shoulder. Just brought that down over his right shoulder and almost shaped to shoot, but the flag was already up. That's a little bit sloppy, you have to say, from the young striker, and he is young. It's a young team from Western Pride. A lot of players having come through the youth ranks as Reese Raymond goes forward. And Yonezawa was just clipped by Byron Sinnerton there. It was intelligent defence from Yonezawa. That almost wasn't very intelligent, as Jafari almost picked off that rather soft pass across the face. Inside to Sawyer. Sawyer just chips over the top. To Bray. Bray inside. Nice football from Western Pride. Twisting, turning now is Advani. Advani with the shot. It was straight at Sullivan. Much better from Western Pride. It's like a different team's come out from the sheds at half-time. Humphreys does well to keep that in. Tried to play into Dong Yu Kim. The slide, though, was from Haspels. Has to be alert. Kai Bolton wanted to take it. He was convinced otherwise by Humphreys. Sawyer cut in front of Mengotti. Mengotti just gesturing for Sinnerton to get himself into the penalty area. Sinnerton in turn tells Dong Yu Kim to get out of his way. The long throw will come in from Kai Barnes. Diminutive in stature, but he's got a hell of a throw on him. And that one's gone right towards the penalty area. Keeper comes very well. Play the ball out from the back. Kicking wasn't best in the first half. That was an odd decision, to put it mildly, to play the ball upfield by Haspels to no one in particular. Jafari does well. Barnes is being allowed to pick his spot. The spot is Jafari off the first time. And he was just off balance when he hit it, and if he hadn't been, well, we've seen him score some spectacular goals. One that stands out for mine is for South West Queensland Thunder. It would have been an equalising effort, or perhaps just a consolation effort in a season opener a couple of years ago, when he scored from an impossible angle on the volley. past Jake Clancy, who will be his teammate here at Mitchelton when he arrives from overseas. Tom Sullivan hasn't done anything so far to suggest that he needs to be dropped. Mengotti just gets a foot in there ahead of Neil and Brown. There's so many Mitchelton players, it almost looks like they're playing with an extra man. Here's Humphreys. Brown had to chase all the way across. He can't get his shot of there. Is that Kai Barnes? Great feet from Barnes. He's going all the way across the penalty area. It's crossed back in from Humphreys. It's going to come back to him. He'll take the corner. Mitchelton's 5th. Great footwork from Mitchelton captain Kai Barnes. He mentioned at half-time Mitchelton had their team talk just away to our left behind the bench, and he did suggest that he was going to score a worldie in the second half as well to match his first half effort. Try and sweep the board in the Goal of the Week nominations. He made a darting run there. It's flicked on by Jafari. It was an excellent corner from Mengotti. And he gets the plaudits from Noah Humphreys. They're so dangerous, Mitchelton, at the moment, despite the bright start to this second half from Western Pride, as it's helped on there by Webster intelligently. Inside now, good shove came in on Orford. And the ball is given away. Opportunity for Paul Falso, who's just slightly overran it. Hasn't gone out of play, and Norris tries to hammer that ball forward. It's blocked by the enthusiastic Diane Baker. I think it's fair to say he's been putting himself about a bit in the first half. Falso went in quite rough there on Yoon. Lovely touch from Jafari. Lovely touch from Jafari. He goes to ground. No foul, says the referee. And that's a glorious ball from Sawyer. So much space for Advaney. Advaney! Oh, it's saved by the feet of Sullivan. He stood up tall for as long as he could. Advaney narrowed the angle for himself, and it was, in the end, too much of an angle to try and overcome. Peach of a ball from Adam Sawyer. So much space for Advaney. It's a corner for Western Pride. Oh, rising high there was Webster. It's still pinballing around. Oh, that would have been ambitious. It's fallen though for Western Pride. Here's Orford. Can't get a shot away. Sawyer. Haspels. Haspels! Oh, Matt Haspels! Oh, my word! How about that? He didn't score a single goal last season for the Magpies Crusaders. And he's got his season off to a flying start here. What a strike from Matt Haspels. Former Pride youth player, returning to his team of origin, if you like, from his stint in the north. But wow, what a hit. And Western Pride are back in this now, and they suddenly look full of beans. Here's Advaney. Orford. Brown. Wide to Yonezawa. Yonezawa with the cross. It's an awkward one for Sullivan to deal with, and Mitchelton look rattled all of a sudden. And it's all come off the back of that sensational strike by Matt Haspels. Pressure is coming as well. Excellent work by Advaney. And Reece Raymond was rather caught out there. All the pressure coming from the green and white now of Western Pride. Barnes pushes Bray to the ground. He clears away. Oh, nice touch by Webster. It needed to be clever. Sawyer, a bit too ambitious from Sawyer, trying to pick out Nathan Yoon, who was flat-footed, but never in with a chance of getting that ball. Now we have a contest on our hands. 15 minutes gone in this second half. Western Pride 1, Mitchelton 2. Mengotti. Does battle with Sawyer. Sawyer does enough there, you'd think. Referee says nothing doing. And Mitchelton come away on the attack through Sinnerton. Wide to Humphreys. Sinnerton wanted the return ball. It was a really, really good block by Haspels because Dong-Yu Kim was arriving at that near post. And it's a 6th corner of the game for Mitchelton. Reece Raymond's just in conversation with the assistant on this near side. Now he's trying to press his case to Jacob Advani. Meanwhile, his former City teammate Kai Barnes is getting ready to play this corner in from the near side. Oh, it's off the crossbar, and I think it came off Reece Webster last. And it is a corner kick. Referee made a mistake first up. It certainly came off Webster last and just flicked off the top of the crossbar. Referee getting advice from all corners at the moment, as is the assistant on this near side, who I think actually made the right call. If not, it was the assistant on the far side, because referee initially pointed for a goal kick. Barnes will deliver again. It caused confusion. Last time is Jafari this time, who heads the ball just over the crossbar. For a man who's not the tallest, he certainly gets his head to a lot of corner kicks. Does Mustafa Jafari. Sawyer goes back. Pressure came from Dong-Yu Kim. Nathan Yoon chased. Sullivan's clearance only went as far as Norris. Norris is being pulled and tugged and fouling Byron Sinnerton over on that far side of the field. A belated whistle from the referee. Settle down is the call from the Mitchelton supporters away to our left. Sound advice, you'd think, whereas the Pit are trying to create as much noise as possible in order to confuse their visitors. Norris gets his head onto that one. He's going to have to be alert to the challenge of Falso now. Falso breezes past, Falso goes down, and that time it's a corner kick. Looked like it came off Falso last. Difficult spell for the officials in the last couple of minutes or so. Having said that, he's a lot closer than I am. Noah Humphreys, the former Olympian, will take the corner, both arms raised. Jafari comes short, and that's the way it goes. Now he swings it in towards the back post where Standish was waiting. He was always backpedaling though. Perhaps would have been better off leaving it for Jacob Mengotti, who was waiting at the back post. Clearing kick is straight onto the head of Kai Barnes, and how Dong-Yu Kim. Barnes wants the ball inside. Dong-Yu Kim might well go himself. Does go himself. Was brought down. Free kick on the edge of the penalty area, and it was just a little bit sloppy from Yongizawa. I think he knew it as well. Very dangerous position for this free kick. Right on the edge of the penalty area. Barnes is there. Jafari's there too. Will Jafari just try and narrow the angle a little bit for Barnes? Really want to swing this into the far top corner and hope either somebody gets a nick on or it doesn't, and it's destined for the top corner anyway. Barnes takes the shot. Was there a handball? It's in a natural position. It's flipped in, rolls in the back of the net anyway. Flag was up. The ball was out of play. It's a goal kick. Dramatic couple of moments there in the Western Pride penalty area. It's headed back inside by Advani. Jackson Bray is shown a yellow card for a wild challenge on Sam Standish. Accusations of inequality coming from away to our right. We're going to have a substitution for Western Pride, and Ryan Ricciani is going to come into the fray. He was a substitute last week, and he comes on to replace Jackson Bray. Just earned his second yellow card of the season. Another Pride youth product who has returned to Briggs Road this season. Lovely touch from Humphreys inside. Now it's fallen for Sinnerton. It never quite fell kindly enough for him to take a shot though, and Norris hammers the ball upfield. Yoon against Reece Raymond, and Reece Raymond managed to fool both Yoon and Advaney there. Handball goes against Neelan Brown. Brown is furious. His opposite number, Kai Barnes, takes the free kick quickly. They want to restore their 2-goal advantage. Baker hammered the ball inside. Barnes helps it back on its way in. Laconic foot goes up from Sawyer. And now a run from the new boy, Ricciani. That's an injection of pace, if ever I saw one. Will that be what's required for Western Pride to just further stretch this Mitchelton defence that looked so solid in the first half but has been shaken and breached so far in this second? Matt Haspels with an absolute thunderbolt from distance, 2 goals worthy of goal of the week, you'd have to think, already in this contest. And there's still 25 minutes or so remaining. Barnes, who scored the first of the wonder goals, puts his ball forward onto the head of the defender. Now he heads himself, but it's picked off by Advaney, who's been lively in the second half. Advaney suddenly has possession now, rides a challenge, can't spit past the second, and does really well. And Barnes just got in the way there, intentionally. He knew exactly what he was doing. Western Pride players want a card to be shown, and that's what Adam Sawyer is arguing. And you'd think that Adam Sawyer is arguing intelligently. Neelan Brown, though, can't believe what the referee has said, and he's been sent away, or rather disappears of his own volition. The referee wanted a bit of a question. It's taken quickly, though, to the feet of Orford. Free kick goes by way of Mitchelton. Just wonder whether Western Pride, I agree, they're trying to play up tempo, they're trying to capitalise on the fact that they have Mitchelton rattled for perhaps the first time in this game, but why not wait a little bit on that free kick, deliver a ball into the box? You don't have much of an angle, but you can assess your options, you can spread the field, spread that swarming defence around a little bit. It might have been a better option for Western Pride, but they'll persist with their up-tempo players. Honezawa plays the ball inside to Brown. Brown's been a bit more lively as well on the night in which he becomes the 3rd most appearance maker in Western Pride's history. Honezawa can't keep that ball in. It was hurriedly cleared by Webster after he was put under pressure. And it's Mitchelton who take time off the ball now, take time off the board. Noah Humphreys will play this ball forward. Slipped out of his hands somewhat before it got to Jafari. Nice touch from Yoon. Yoon helps on its way to Orford. Orford tried to swing it inside to the speedster Ricciani. There was a clear push there from Sinnerton. Reece Raymond's going to have to be clever against Yoon, and he is. Barnes now inside, but it's picked up by Honezawa. Honezawa back wide to Advaney. Yoon inside again. Advaney couldn't get the return pass. Got to admire Mitchelton for the way they're passing themselves out of trouble, but Honezawa picks it up. Honezawa inside now to Sawyer. Sawyer goes across to the other side of the penalty area, and it's helped away by Falso. It's another corner for Western Pride. Pressure building from the hosts. Can they grab the equaliser, Western Pride? They appear to be a second half team. Both goals came in the second half against Sunshine Coast last week after they trailed 1-0 at half time. Uta Hirayama scored both of them. He's out injured. This corner is swept in. It was onto the head of Webster. Jafari tried to clear it, and then Ricciani just leathered that ball high and wide of the target. trying to emulate his defensive teammate Matt Haspels, who scored an absolute belter of a strike to pull the Pride to within a goal of their visitors. They still trail by 2-1 midway through this second half, the final quarter of the match. Over the head of Jafari, now Sawyer helps it back on its way. Norris inside to Ricciani. We haven't seen him have much space to run into, but it's helped on towards Norris to run now. There's a combination of Mitchelton players there and who conspired to get that ball out for a throw-in. It'll be a Western Pride ball though, midway inside their attacking half. Ricciani is quick even when running in the wrong direction. Here's one for Jafari to run onto. Bounce was awkward but well dealt with by Haspels. Jafari does pick up the ball though. Barnes was stretching, still manages to get it to Dongyu. Shot comes across. Is it there for Jafari? Was there a handball? His hands are always up, Jafari. Oh, that would have been ambitious. Instead, it's a corner. It took a deflection. Lovely ball by Barnes to Dongyu Kim there on the edge of the penalty area. Barnes, oh, he's just stretching. He had to stretch in getting that ball towards Dongyu Kim, and just down on his haunches there, just testing out those hamstrings. He's the first game of the season for Mitchelton, remember. He comes short. Instead, the ball goes long into the middle. It was flapped out a little by Lynch. Mengotti's going to get there and keep the ball in. He'll deliver from the other angle now. Although the wind's taken that, and Barnes will have to field halfway back towards the halfway line. He goes back towards Reece Raymond. Raymond back to Mengotti on this near sideline. Lovely touch from Mengotti. He can't get past the second defender though, or does barrel into Yonezawa. Lovely skill to get past Advani. Didn't have much real estate, and I think Mengotti should be pretty pleased with himself there. Lovely bit of skill right in front of the cameras. Kai Barnes wearily wanders over to this near side and will launch this ball in. Hopes it'll stand up on the wing. There must have been a push again there by Sinnerton. He's quite handsy, the Mitchelton number 6. Nice header by Standish. Keeps the attack alive while Falso gives the ball away. And here's the substitute, Ricciani. Western Pride are going to make a second substitution in the not too distant future as Norris chased down Sullivan, who picked up the ball late and then plays the ball out towards Baker, and where Baker was harassing and harrying in the first half, it's Western Pride who are doing the same to him now. The substitution is going to be made, and it's going to be Daryl Barton, who scored 35 goals in 24 games for the under-16s one season. And he's been replaced Nathan Yoon. Daryl Barton. Can he convert underage goal-scoring prowess into the senior ranks? It's a problem that many players have at this level, indeed every level. Men's football is a little bit different as Dongyu Kim goes in and just makes a nuisance of himself. He'll chase. It's hammered upfield. Oh, nipped in there was Barton. He's rapid too. Got a couple of speedsters on the bench, Western Pride. Yonezawa to Brown. Brown controls. He's put under pressure by his opposite number, Kai Barnes. But Brown did well back inside towards Webster. Webster will switch play over to the far side of the field, but it's too ambitious and over the head of Ricciani. There might be a couple of substitutions coming by way of Mitchelton now. Dan Panisi has not ventured to his bench yet. Humphreys can't keep the ball in. Barton, full of youthful enthusiasm, plays the ball quickly, plays a nice 1-2 and then goes down under the challenge of Humphreys. I'm surprised that wasn't given us a free kick given what we've seen so far today. Jafari tried to play in Dong-Yu Kim. Just too far ahead of him. Western Pride continuing to press. 15 minutes remaining in this game. Nice little touch and turn and run from Barton, but Brown has to go back and switch his play over to the far side. And Norris, nice little shimmy. Has space inside now. Lovely pace over on that far side from Ricciani, but coming across was Standish to put the ball out of play. These young speedsters from Western Pride starting to stretch this Mitchelton defence that has been under pressure for the majority of the second half. They still have a slender advantage though. 2-1. Here's Ricciani. Ricciani wants support, finds it in Brown. Brown switches play to this near side in Yonizawa. Yonizawa have a heavy touch though. And it's mopped up by Dong-Yu Kim coming back. Raymond hammers it upfield, but only as far as Yonizawa. Yonizawa finds Kim, now Brown. Oh, neat little touch and turn by Jacob Advani. Western Pride holding a monopoly on possession in the last few minutes. Orford can't turn the corner to Yonizawa, but it'll take the throw anyway, the Japanese player. Mitchelton are about to make a double substitution, but Advani was allowed to turn. Now Brown. Brown could help it on its way, decides not to, comes inside instead. Now Dong-Yu Kim's going to hammer the ball upfield to Mustafa Jafari. Jafari looks still able and fit, and he wins the ball well. He wants to take it quickly. Mitchelton are going to take or make a double substitution though, and it's Luke Leggett who will be coming on, as will Seb Hernando, the exciting young talent. Dong-Yu Kim goes off, and so does Jacob Mengotti. Seb Hernando and Luke Leggett on. Noah Humphreys went down. Enthusiastic challenge from Daryl Barton, who came into the squad. One of 3 changes that Western Pride made from last week, 2 enforced. The injury to Hirayama. Dan Panisi is pretty upset with the challenge. No yellow card given though. It's just a free kick. Barnes will take. Oh, it's an awkward one for the keeper, who was being challenged by Sinnerton. Sinnerton has managed to get away with some physicality in this match, but I think that was fair. Baker did really well then to win the ball off Norris, and he wins another corner for his side. Up to 9 corners now, the visitors. They'll still lead by 2-1. Another goal here, and that might just knock the stuffing out of the hosts, who've fought back gamely. By Barnes taking his time getting over to that far side of the field. There's no option short, so he'll swing it in, put it on top of the keeper's head. Arriving at the back post was Leggett, the substitute. Oh, it's going to be a long-range shot that flashed across the face of goal. We've seen some spectacular finishes in this match already. Ryan Baker couldn't add to it on that occasion, but not through lack of trying. Oh, here's one for Advani to get latch on to. He cuts the ball back inside. There were 3 Western Pride players arriving, and he managed to pick off the backtracking Paul Falso, who did well to hammer that ball out for a throw-in on this near side of the field. A little bit more composure from Advani, and we might have had a Western Pride equaliser there. Advani on the ball again, or he's squeezed out of it. It was Sinnerton who was back there. It only comes at the cost of a throw-in again. Western Pride really pressuring now. Brown under pressure from Sinnerton. and Seb Hernando, but still manages to get the ball away. That was the substitute, Barton. It's still there for Western Pride through Norris. Norris tried to squeeze the ball over the top towards Advaney. Now Advaney's going to put pressure on Humphreys in that corner, and Humphreys plays the ball out for a throw-in. We're going to have another one. Yonezawa is going to have to get his arms massaged after this match, you'd think, the number of throw-ins he's had. Oh, ball inside to Barton. Now over the top to the other substitute, Ricciani. Ricciani's been backed into a corner by Falso. Ricciani can't get the cross past Falso. Excellent defending from the giant right back. Oh, it's very handsy over there. The ball is played out by Barnes using his experience. Taken quickly by the free kick to Ricciani. Ricciani puts the cross in and Falso concedes a corner. It's Western Pride's 6th. 10 minutes remaining. It's a grandstand finish being set up by the home side here, who are chasing the ball towards their passionate supporters in the pit. How they'll greet an equaliser. Wind's picking up again. The corner goes very, very deep to Brown. Brown heads it back inside. It's helped on its way through. Western Pride going backwards to go forwards here. Switch of play towards Brown. Brown waited and has space and time. Barnes closes him down belatedly at the back post. Was Adam Sawyer. It's fallen perhaps for Haspels. He provided a spectacular first half for the first goal. Couldn't quite do so for a second time to find the equaliser, as Adam Sawyer needs a bit of attention for cramp. All the players feeling it now. Kai Barnes still feeling that left leg after he had to really stretch in trying to squeeze a pass through towards Dongyu Kim. Sawyer's okay to continue. Sullivan will plant the ball down one-handed. His kick-outs have been pretty good. Moves his bottle away, referee encouraging him to get on with things with a toot of the whistle. Takes it up over halfway. Headed on by Orford, and he was clattered after the fact. Wants a free kick for it. It's not forthcoming from our referee. Oh, an attempted flick by Ricciani, who perhaps would have been better off just taking it conventionally. So Mitchelton throw over on that far side in front of the sparsely occupied grandstand. It's looking a little bit worse for wear from when we were here on that famous night in 2017 when Western Pride won their only championship in their short history. As Mustafa Jafari picks up the ball on the edge of penalty area, chips the ball over towards Seb Hernando. He's a real talent, Seb Hernando. He shapes to shoot. It took a deflection. Oh, it's squeezed in. It's a calamity for Western Pride. Seb Hernando may well be credited with that, but it would be an injustice really for the Western Pride defence. Seven minutes remaining in the game, and you'd think that will have knocked the stuffing out of the home side. Took a couple of wicked deflections on its way through, and wrong-footed Tom Lynch. And that 2-goal cushion is restored, courtesy of the shot by Seb Hernando, but pinballed around in that penalty area and trickled into the back of the net. Have to watch it again, but perhaps Tom Lynch could have done better. The atmosphere has just been sucked out of Briggs Road. There was a real sense of anticipation and excitement and perhaps inevitability about an equaliser almost, but you can't help but think that's a long way off now. Falso throws the ball inside by Hernando, who helps it on its way. Now Barnes. Hernando. Oh, lovely footwork from Hernando. He might have another go here. That wasn't far away at all. He spent a bit of time at Redlands United last year. He came through the ranks at Brisbane City, but went away from Corporate Travel Management Stadium to find some first team opportunities. He's only been on a couple of minutes, but he's looked lively and helped provide the third goal for Mitchelton, the third goal that should make this game safe. Again, a little bit handsy. And this time a free kick is given. That time Luke Leggett, the substitute, another ex-City player, although it was a few years since he has been there. Barton did well then. Wants a return pass. Liggett eventually gets the ball under his control. It trickles out for a throw-in inside the Western Pride defensive half. Long throw. Kept in by Hernando. Hernando does really well. That's a really, really good pass inside to Baker. Baker has a man on the overlap. It's Paul Falso, but it was ambitious to assume that he'd get there in time to receive that pass. Instead, it's a throw-in on halfway for Western Pride over on the far side of the field. 4 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. Not time enough, you'd think, to get an equaliser. But if a goal goes in now, you never know. Although to score, they need the ball at their feet, and at the moment it's in the hands of Paul Falso, who will take his time in delivering this throw-in, and we've seen how far he can throw the ball. Almost better off throwing than delivering it by his foot. Lovely long ball, helped out. That's all he could do by Aidan Norris. They've been good today, Mitchelton. They weathered a storm from Western Pride. And you'd have to say the goal they conceded was an absolute worldie by Matt Haspels. It's helped on. Mustafa Jafari's not going to get there. Tom Lynch hairs out of his penalty area, or out of his 6-yard area anyway. The long ball forward to Barton. Barton does battle with Noah Humphreys. Another ball that nearly hits us up here in our commentary area. And it'll be a throw-in to Roy Yonizawa on this near side. I should have just pre-recorded that and just pressed play a number of times in this second half. Hernando does well eventually and plays the ball off Yonizawa for a throw-in. Hernando wants the ball at his feet. Humphreys was too busy styling his hair to see that pass, instead threw it long. That ball came off the back of Reece Raymond. It'll be a throw-in on this near side to, you guessed it, Yonizawa. Baker. Well, Baker does really, really well to get round Humphreys. Oh, that's lovely from Baker. And then he barges into Leggett and wins a corner. Oh, that's inventiveness from the youngster wearing the number 11 shirt. Orford will deliver. Both hands raised. It's an out-swinging ball. Ricciani was there making a nuisance of himself. Sullivan went to ground. It's another corner for Western Pride. They're 8th. They're catching up with Mitchelton, who had 9. And this time it's for captain Adam Sawyer trotting over to that far side of the field. 90 seconds or so remaining, plus stoppage time. Confusion was caused by that last corner kick. What can they muster here to set up a real exciting finale? It's delivered by Sawyer right onto the head of Webster. It went behind, and Webster is slow to get to his feet. His well-being is being checked upon by his opposing captain, Kai Barnes. He does come up, and he's just clutching the back of his head there. Just flexing the neck. Will be a goal, or a free kick, or a goal kick, sorry, to Tom Sullivan. A former Pride keeper. Didn't have many opportunities in the green and white, but he's come back to haunt his side. Sawyer didn't need to jump, but his header is found by Baker, who's ball inside. It's cut out, and then Falso, an enthusiastic challenge on the youngster. It had to be a free kick, and it will be a free kick. It might be a yellow card for Falso. It is a yellow card for Falso. Ironic Bronx cheers from the home support here at Briggs Road. I feel like that should have been a long time in coming. Mustafa Jafari is going to make way. He couldn't score against his former side, the 24-year-old Afghani. He had a very impressive game, and he's not going to hurry off the field, that's for sure. Alex Sartori comes on, another former Brisbane City player, who certainly has an eye for goal. If you haven't watched much of Alex Sartori, then I recommend you look up some Brisbane City under-20s fixtures. He just managed to find the goal in the back of the net with alacrity. Oh, that's a nice little flick move there by Barton, who switched rings with Ricciani. Still there over on that far side for Barton, who has pace, and the offside flag goes up. It didn't look like he managed to get back onside, and that was borne out by the assistants on this near touchline. No rush for Sullivan. Not sure how much stoppage time will be added, but you wouldn't have thought it was enough for Pride to grab 2 goals. It's helped upfield. We will play on. Referee hasn't got his whistle in his mouth yet. Sartori sometimes takes a bit of time to get into games. He hasn't going to be afforded that time now as Neelan Brown just slides, but can only play the ball forward to the feet of Reece Webster. Humphreys goes all the way back to Standish. It's a lovely ball over the top to Paul Falso. Helped out by Reece Webster. There's still time enough for Mitchelton here. Hugely impressive first half. They had to defend well in the second and did concede that goal, but with the 2-goal cushion, Western Pride had to do something special, and they weren't quite able to conjure it up. And then when Seb Hernando's shot squeezed in, it's fallen there for Sinnerton. He's going to have another go, and Sinnerton gets the 4th. That's cruel on Western Pride. But the 3 points well and truly secured now. He had 2 bites at the cherry there, did Byron Sinnerton, and he manages to find the back of the net as well. Tired, sluggish defending from Western Pride. The referee keeps the whistle in his mouth, although does take it out now. Ricciani with a nice little shimmy. It will be all in vain though. That brief explosion of pace was all we saw from him. Lovely ball inside. Nice little touch there by Advani. Falso in the end will have to clear. Hernando does keep it in. There's one for Sartori to run onto. Sartori does have an eye for goal. Has Hernando alongside him. Sartori, it took a deflection, and scrambling across was Tom Lynch. And that will be that. 3 points in the bag for Mitchelton, who possibly on balance deserved it despite the second half efforts of Western Pride. They look strong on paper, and they're backing that up with their performance this evening here in Ipswich. Western Pride will have to go back to the drawing board. So they've fallen to a 4-1 defeat in their first home game of their stay in the Football Queensland Premier League. Just a little bit too sluggish in that first half from the hosts. And those 2 goals at the start were enough for Dan Panisi's side. He'll certainly be pleased with his charges and has plenty to be pleased about. Kai Barnes opened the scoring with a fantastic goal that we had a beautiful angle of here in our commentary position. That'll be worth catching the highlights for later in the week. The lead was doubled by Sam Standish. Bundled the ball in from close range in the 36th minute. They went into the break 2 goals to the good. Matt Haspel's reduced for deficit with an absolute worldie from long range after the ball was failed to be cleared convincingly from a corner. But then Seb Hernando's shot squeezed its way through by way of a couple of deflections to trickle under the body of Tom Lynch to restore the 2-goal deficit, and then Breyer and Sinnerton, with 2 bites of the cherry at stoppage time, managed to make the result a 4-1 victory for Mitchelton. Plenty more football to come this weekend. The National Premier League's Queensland match of the round is Sunday's clash between Olympic and Peninsula Power. That'll be a cracker. We hope to catch you on the call for that one as well. Now, of course, it is Lions taking on the Gap in the National Premier League's women's competition. That match kicking off at Richlands 1 minute ago. So just flip over to the stream now for that one. Plenty more matches to come as well in the Football Queensland Premier League. Logan, Ipswich Knights, Southside Eagles against South United, and then tomorrow South West Queensland Thunder against Holland Park Hawks. But from Briggs Road here this evening, that's all we've got. Simon Smale been with you. This has been a double take production for Football Queensland. It's been a pleasure to have you alongside us. We hope you enjoyed the match. It's Western Pride 1, Mitchelton 4. We hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.